French giant Saint-Gobain is a leading global manufacturer of construction materials and building solutions, and it is now doubling down on its investment in North America. Mark Rayfield is CEO of the region. Mark, welcome to the Property Place. So glad to have you here.
Very happy to be here.
Saint-Gobain is a 350-year-old company. Why now is it saying North America and the U.S. specifically is the place to be, given all the headwinds that we have in the economy?
Well, you know, we were founded making the mirrors of the Palace of Versailles, actually 360 years ago. And so we've been around.
I did not know that.
I know.
That's cool.
So the mirrors in the Palace of Versailles, the hall mirrors, are still Saint-Gobain glass mirrors, and that's our foundation. And evolved over the last 360 years to be this leader in building materials. And we're doubling down in North America because the fundamentals in North America are very strong. We're underbuilt in residential, so there's a need for almost 4 million homes to be built in the U.S. to catch up with population growth, and there's a lot of renovation needed in commercial.
But you have issues with supply chain, you have issues with tariffs, you have issues in the economy with labor, et cetera. How are you going to address those?
Well, you always have issues. We don't have issues with tariffs. We're local for local. We manufacture products.
So you're not bringing anything in?
Very little. I mean, if you're looking at a gypsum board or a roofing shingle, they're very heavy. They're manufactured locally in Atlanta for the southeast market, and California for the western market. So we're very local for the local market. So that's one thing. Labor is always an issue. Construction labor, manufacturing labor, I think in the U.S. is always a challenge. So we think we have to take ownership of training more people in construction and manufacturing. So we do a lot of work there. But there's always some headwinds in there, but the fundamentals are extremely strong.
So when you say doubling down from a capital perspective, well, let's get into the businessy side of this, because you know you're a publicly traded company in France.
We are.
But a 45 billion euro market cap, I believe the last time I checked. When you talk about doubling down, what is that really going to mean?
So we've invested $7 billion in North America over the last 5 or 6 years. A vast majority on acquisitions and growing our portfolio, and a large portion on organic growth. A new plant, a plant expansion in Montreal, a plant expansion in Florida, one in Peachtree City, Georgia. So lots of capacity to be able to supply products for the growing marketplace, and also to help kind of decarbonize our product as well. The plant in Montreal is a Scope 1, Scope 2 carbon neutral plant. So if you want to have drywall, you want to have gypsum board that is Scope 1 and Scope 2 neutral, we can manufacture that in Montreal.
Given the political headwinds that we see right now, or just the political atmosphere of manufacturing locally, bringing everything all American, and Saint-Gobain is a global company, but you are very specifically regional in your thinking. Just explain how that works.
So we're regional in our thinking and how we manage our business. So what we need for products and expansion by region changes based on what the long-term and mid-term portfolio needs are. So we think it's underbuilt in North America. So we're committed to the marketplace, and we want to become larger in the North American marketplace. As far as headwinds, tailwinds, what we try to do is provide solutions for residential and commercial to make buildings that are better for the occupants, that are easier to put up, that are more sustainable in the product activity. And all of this is kind of not left or right. If you want to build a house, you want it to be aesthetically pleasing.
But it is kind of left or right because of some of the, suggestions, some of the plans that Congress is looking at for funding affordable housing, all that kind of stuff. You can't say it's not left or right in housing.
Well, when I say that, I say if you think about how you build a sustainable home or a home that is resilient against the elements, if you're looking at a home, you'd want it to be aesthetically pleasing. You want it to stay dry in the wind and rain. You want it to resist hail and hurricanes.
But we need it to be cheaper.
You need to be able to build it affordably, but you can build a home in that way at roughly the same cost as we're building today. It's just a matter of putting the systems together and training the contractors on how to build it. If you look at a home, you'll see air and vapor barriers on it, you'll see tapes on it, you'll see siding on it, many from different manufacturers. What we provide is a systems approach and a solutions approach using all the products together so they're easier to install. Your window treatments go across your external insulation. They're designed for that already. Your air and vapor barriers match up to your products on the siding. Your underlayment matches to your roofing. So all of it comes together. So it isn't more expensive. It just performs better.
But you have to be affected by the overall state of the builders. Am I right? I mean, we talk about this, lack of homes. 4 million homes are needed, depending on which study you look at. Anywhere from 3 to 5 million, depending on who you ask. And if you ask left or right, they will have a different number. So we need roughly 4 million new homes.
Right.
We didn't have a lot of data over the last couple of months from the home builders because of the government shutdown, but we know that they were lagging far behind. The Trump administration has said, we have to get the builders building. They haven't exactly said how. But if the builders are not building, then they are not using building materials, which is where you live.
Well, part of it is building and part of it is renovation. So you always have this circular aspect of, if you're not building, you're living in your existing home. If you decide you're going to keep your 3% mortgage and not move, you may decide to change that guest room into a bedroom, into an office. So in that situation, you do renovation. So over 50% of our business is renovation and remodeling. So we do a lot of renovation and remodeling. So building is certainly a foundation. We prefer have more homes built, but it's not the core of the business.
And does that boost your business if people aren't moving as much because so many people are locked into their homes? Like, I never understand which wins on this one. Is it that more people renovate when they get a new home and they want to change what's in it, as in an existing home? Or is it really renovations from people who can't move because maybe they're locked into that 2% mortgage and they want to upgrade because they can't upgrade to a better home?
You can make an argument either way.
Okay, no answer to that.
So, no, so when homes are rotating and moving a lot, you renovate them when you buy it. You don't buy the perfect home. You want to change it a little bit. You renovate it before you sell it. When you're not moving, you renovate it because you're committed to it. So it's a bit of a 50-50. We can see positives in either. We would prefer a more fluid housing market and more homes being built. That just generates more of both renovation and new building. And we're not at a horrible rate right now. We're at 1.3 million homes being built. So that's better than 2019.
But that's single and multifamily.
That is.
Okay, and I want to get into the commercial side of this in a second, but one last on the residential side is, given that you're in the materials, how do we build homes faster?
Well, there's a number of ways to build a home faster. You can do some prefab. So we have a product called One Precision Assemblies, which is basically a full wall and roofing assembly, pre-constructed with windows. So if you're building a home, or you're a small home builder, you're building 10, 15 homes a year, if you were to use this solution, you could build 3 times that number of homes. Because the big time is framing in and weatherproofing the house. Once you get the foundation built, the measurements done, to your design, to your architectural design, we'll deliver all the walls, all the exterior walls, ceilings, floor, cassettes, and it'll go up in 3 days. And the home will be weather tight and certified in 3 days. Then you can work inside. So that's one way to build much quicker. It's a version of prefab. The challenge with that is you have to be certified in all regions, which we can do. So we have the building science to do that. And you have to have manufacturing locally, so you can provide which we do, exactly. So we have the local manufacturing. So that's how you can build quicker, is a version of some prefab components of the home. Okay,
now I want to move to commercial.
Okay.
What percentage of Saint-Gobain is commercial?
Probably within North America, you're in the 30 to 35% range.
Okay, so a good chunk of it.
Yep.
If I'm a commercial investor right now, I'm a developer, what do I need to know from you?
Well, I'm not sure. But what I think if they need to know is, if you look at commercial buildings, if you look at office buildings, you generally have, you always hear the A buildings are always full and the C buildings aren't. So if you're building a building or renovating a building, you need to build in a way that has occupant comfort and performance as part of the activity.
And that's what B developers are doing in office. We're told that there's been this big surge in renovating these buildings to make them, especially if they're located closer to metro and they have amenities that, would bring more office workers back.
Exactly. So it's not just amenities of a cafeteria and coffee machines and gyms. You want to have a building that is acoustically comfortable. So you have the right acoustics. You have a meeting room where if you stand up, your voice carries. If you sit down, it doesn't carry. You have.
And that's in the building materials.
That's in the building materials. Yeah. You can put gypsum board and ceiling products that acoustically change the performance of every room. You can have electrochromatic glass. It gives you full day lighting going outside, but blocks the UV rays coming in, so you don't get tired and glare on your computer. So all
still
these.
Get tired.
Okay. Yeah, I know. But all these things. So that's what I think the builders have to think about, and it's those who are owners, occupiers, think about it a lot. Those who are flipping buildings sometimes don't worry about the long-term need of the building. But I believe if you're building for occupant comfort, it goes for healthcare. If you've got a quieter, better performing building, more daylighting, you get out of the hospital quicker, you recover quicker. If you have an education, a classroom.
And you got data on that.
Yes, we have data on that. And if you have a classroom that has better acoustics, you have less stress on the teachers, less absenteeism, and better learning by the students. If you're in the back of the room, maybe English is your second language, you have poor acoustics, it's very hard to learn. So all of these things we can provide the building science to the contractors to show them how to build it. It's not more expensive. It's just using the right products in the right place and bringing building science into your building.
And you know what I'm going to ask next in commercial, because I couldn't not ask, because it's all we talk about every day of the week, is data centers. You're in those.
We are, yes. At many levels. I mean, so for data centers, we can make a better waterproofing solution and a faster curing foundation through our construction chemicals. We can waterproof it, protect the assets from water, insulate it for heat and cooling, put ceilings and they need acoustic panels as well. So we can provide all of those products. So we're big in data centers. I mean, they also need speed. So they need products very close to where they are. So our multiple sites, 140 manufacturing sites, are good for data centers because we get product to them very quickly.
So I mean, you must see incredible demand. Is this what's really fueling some of this growth in the U.S.? Or is it, you know, because all we hear is build more, and then we start talking bubble, bubble, bubble.
Well, yes, I think if you're, you know, data centers is a component of our 35% of our commercial, so it's good for that segment of the market. If you're heavily committed in all the products data centers, I think you're seeing lots of growth. But, so it's not driving our growth, it's a component to it. Like all different building segments, we want to make sure we have the right solutions as they grow, and we can also provide carbon reducing solutions.
Wait, so are you worried about it though? Because in other sectors, when you've had trouble in that sector, it's suddenly overbuilt, suddenly a bubble, suddenly whatever, you could have a project that stops midstream and they say, okay, we've pulled out the funding for this, it's not going to happen. For all of those who say we are building too many data centers, or they're not funded in the right way, or AI is going to AI itself by making it more efficient, and these, you know, higher level chips that don't need as much space, and then we're going to have too much data center space, and some of these projects are going to be cut off. Worried? Not worried? Where do you stand on this?
Not worried. I mean, we're in so many different segments of the market. We're in office, we're in healthcare, we're in transportation, we're in data centers, we're in renovation, multifamily.
So you're diversified.
So we're diversified. So,
but what do you think about it in general? Let's say you weren't. Just imagine for a second that 80% of your construction materials will going into data centers. Would you be worried?
I think that in general, the trend that happens in most of building is you tend to overshoot the cycle. So if you look at multifamily over the past 3 years, it spiked, you know, 25-30% up and then dropped 25-30% down. There always seems to be a very sine wave going forward, and that will probably happen in data centers.
So, okay, you're not going on the record to say you're worried about this sector at all?
No, because again, we're so diversified. And I'm not in data centers particularly as owning them, so from my perspective, I'm not worried about what it does for our business.
Okay, you keep bringing up sustainability,
I do.
Building for climate. Why is Saint-Gobain so invested in that?
You know, our purpose is to make the world a better home. We know that 40% of greenhouse gas emissions are generated by the built environment, either creating the materials for the built environment or operating the built environment. We know that the most effective use of a building is reusing it, and so we work through the whole value chain to try to make sure the solutions we have fit the occupant's needs, but also have the lowest carbon footprint possible and have the best performance on sustainability, which means keeping your house cool in the summer, you know, warm in the winter, and those aspects. So that's by using more recycled materials, by using electric energy where it's available in Montreal, so our Scope 1, Scope 2 neutral plant, by using, you know, recirculating heat pumps on our new furnaces. So whatever we can do to make sure our products have low embedded carbon, and then to make sure that their use of them as systems and solutions lower the energy usage of the building.
Now, you've said before earlier, you said that this doesn't cost you any more, that these materials are no more expensive, and the construction, you know, process makes it no more expensive to do this. But we have seen not just, I mean, clearly in the U.S., a pullback on anything sustainable. But globally, we have also seen other countries pull back on what they say they want to do regarding carbon emissions, regarding sustainability, et cetera. The only thing that we haven't seen that much of a pullback in is on resilience, and I want to get to that. But what does this pullback everywhere say to the company? Are you just still
We've always been committed to making the right products for the right solutions, and resilience is the word I like to use, because
But it's different. Sustainability and decarbonization is different from resilience. Resilience being protecting my building from the storm versus not creating emissions that make the storm.
But protecting,
if you believe in that.
But protecting the building from the storm means you don't have to repair it, you don't have to bring more materials in, so it gives you a sustainability option and uses of material. As far as if I can make materials with more recycled content, then that's better for us and better for everybody. And if we can do it at the same cost we can do for normal virgin materials, it's good for everyone going forward. So we try to use recycled content. If there's electric energy and carbon-free energy available in locations we build plants, we will use it. In Palatka, Florida, there's not. So we use, recirculating heat pumps in our furnace there. In Montreal we use electric energy. So we know we need to make products that are affordable for the customer, and where we can do that in a lower carbon footprint, we do.
And resilience.
And resilience. Resilience is the key to, I think, what we need to do going forward. We need to make houses in California that are better prepared for fire. Houses in the southeast that can handle hurricanes and floods. Houses in New England that can handle freezing and driving rain, hail-resistant activities. So we need to look at those areas so that the houses perform against the environment they're in, and use building science to do that. And we have the products. The key is training the people so they're comfortable using the products.
And you've brought up labor, of course, before as your biggest headwind, and then training the labor, et cetera. What is the coolest new thing, new product, new building material? And I know that I'm geeking out because who thinks anything in a building material is cool, but when you look at what you have out there, whether it's for sustainability, resilience, or just a cool feature, I mean, you talk about windows that take out the glare, you talk about acoustics, give me something cooler. What are you creating? What are you manufacturing that is your fave thing?
Well, geez, I mean, it's like all my kids. I love them
know.
all.
I knew you were going to say that.
But so electrochromatic glass is great because it gives that daylighting without having the UV rays coming in. We have a business up in Canada called Bailey that does metal studs. We can deliver.
You're going to say a metal stud is cool? Please don't.
Well, how about if we could deliver it to your job site? You order it today, we deliver it to your job site at 4 a.m. the next morning, and each pallet is cut to the size of the floor you're building, because when you build a high rise, each floor is a different level, no matter how much you try to make them the same level. So you got one that's 8 feet 4 inches, 8 feet 5 inches, and it's all delivered at 4 a.m. cut to size.
Okay, so that's cool for the builder, not for the occupant.
For the occupant. So for the occupant, I think when you get to cool, you get to the acoustical solutions. If you're building a home, let's say, and you think about the use of the home, you could have board that gypsum board when you walk into the house that's durable, so when the kids kick it and throw things against it, it doesn't get damaged. You could have silent effects, which is acoustical board between your bedrooms and your kids' rooms, so there's no noise there. So you can do a lot with acoustics. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, and because I asked about data centers, how could I not ask about AI? Does it play any role in construction materials and manufacturing?
I think it plays a role in everything. You know, the ability, if you think about a decade ago when you had a contractor going to look at a house or commercial product, they would have to do a takeoff of what was being used for that product. Now if you're redoing a roof, they'll fly a drone over the roof. It'll take a measurement of the roof. It'll give you all of the products you need. It'll take that products and put it into order, deliver that order to a distributor. So all of that is being accelerated. So AI touches everything.
So I want to talk about the future.
Okay.
You're making these major investments that probably won't pay off for several years, if not decades.
I hope they do. My employment kind of relies on it.
Well, no, I mean, when you make these kind of investments up front, what gives you confidence in North America as that market that is going to pay off in the future as you expand here?
Again, we look at the basic demographics. We believe that we're underbuilt. We believe that when you take a look at the number of homes that were built in the 2000s and now are 25 plus years of age during the big housing boom, they're going to need renovation, repair, new roofs, new siding. So there's a big surge there. The vast majority of inventory that's in stock today is over 40 years old. They need repair. And we've got a whole generation, in my opinion, and I think the data supports it, of new house creation that hasn't bought homes yet. You know, we start our family maybe in the 20s. Our kids are starting their families maybe in their 30s, and that generation's flowing through that, and they will enter the housing market and need homes. So we want to be prepared to provide the products for our customers, our contractors, to build those homes. And
if we were having this conversation 20 years from now, what would you point to as the greatest successes that you had in this region after making this kind of investment?
Well, that's a great question. So I think in 20 years, what would be the greatest successes? That we found a way to build homes more affordably and quicker. So through our precision assemblies and other tools, that we're able to get homes up even quicker and more affordable for the customer.
Mark Rayfield, CEO of Saint-Gobain North America, thank you so much.
Thank you.